on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:06 on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for joining us this morning as we chug along on a busy news cycle. What with impeachment hearings starting today, Trump in Michigan with auto workers, and, of course, the Republican debate in Los Angeles. To help us out through the morning at 7:35, Hogan Gidley, former White House press secretary. 8:05, Byron York. And then 8:35, we'll talk about the rising crime problem in D.C. with D.C. political analyst Chuck Thies. That's all coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Julie, and good morning to our guest, Sean Spicer, also a former White House press secretary and now host of the Sean Spicer Show. I don't care how you get it, but you got to get it and you got to subscribe to it. It's the Sean Spicer Show. You can get it on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Rumble, X.com, wherever you want, but you got to get it because it's a good show and a beautiful set. I have set envy, Sean. It's a beautiful setting there, so thanks for joining us.
Listen, I didn't want to drop any names, but when we were getting ready, I said, get someone over here from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning and a GarageDoorOpen.com.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. We got everybody together and crushed it. But thank you.
That's right. If you want to have a beautiful looking room, you want to get basically anybody who advertises here on WMAL. Well done, Sean.
Yes.
All right. Here's a moment from last night's debate.
This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say because I can't believe they hear me.
All right. So what do you think of that moment for Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy?
I mean, look, food fight doesn't do justice to what happened last night. It was 2 hours that I'll never get back in my life. And yes, you had a bunch of those one-liners in there. She had that one. Chris Christie had the Donald Trump. I mean, I think that since the last debate, basically every campaign sat down and said, what is the one line that we can throw out to stand out? That was, Governor Haley's. I think Chris Christie had his. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I think if I were helping one of these candidates, I'd say think of something that's going to be memorable and go viral the next day. That was hers. I don't think – I mean, at the end of the day, here's what matters. Did anyone move the needle? And the answer is a big fat no. I think that was 2 hours that I would have rather been watching a rerun of any show than that again.
Yeah, a lot of people think DeSantis looked really good last night. I certainly – thought that he looked great. Would you advise him to go to more debates? And what advice would you give other candidates? I don't understand the usefulness of this. They interrupt each other. Others are speaking more than Pence hardly said a word. So what advice would you give? Is it worth it?
Well, first of all, it's worth it. I mean, these guys are at like 4, 5, 6%. They need any attention they can get.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, so that's the reason you raise money in a campaign is to do door-to-door voter contact stuff, and a lot of it is advertising. So if you can have millions of people watch you or try to jump in and get that viral moment, then that's worth it. And then obviously, I mean, if you flip around the morning shows this morning, all of them are fanning out to get on it. So you have to have been on the stage to get any of the morning show react, or any of the cable shows will book you today because they want to know what you thought last night. So it's kind of a price of admission thing. They have to do it. I think that, look, here's what I would do. I mean, the next debate's going to be up to 4%. So bye-bye Doug Burgum. You're out. Potentially at least one more could go away. But until this thing gets down to 4 or 5, then this is the nature of what it is, which is that the folks who are on the far reaches need to do anything that they can. Julie, to your point about Mike Pence, considering he was number 6 of 7 on the stage last night, I was shocked that he didn't try to get in more.
Right.
But again, and when he did, it sounded, frankly, like rehearsed, GOP talking points from 30 years ago, where it was just like, we must defend America. And I'm like, no kidding. I mean, you need to have a breakout moment. The problem is, even if you have the breakout moment, if you walked out of last night doubled of what you came in from, you'd be at like 8 or 9 or 10%, right? This is not, they are playing on the margins here, and they're rearranging deck chairs with each other. Mm-hmm. So Haley's taking from DeSantis or Scott or whomever. They're not taking from Donald Trump. They're taking from each other. And ultimately, what I keep portraying this as is, I grew up in Rhode Island back in the day with the America's Cup. And when America defended the Cup, there was a Challenger Series. New Zealand, Australia, Spain, England. Mm-hmm. They would race to see who would take on America. right, for the cup. These guys are racing to see who's going to take on Donald Trump, hopefully in a debate right before Iowa or New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But that's all that they can hope for.
Yeah. By the way, that's why they call him the master of yacht rock, right there, with an America's Cup reference for everybody. Sean,
It's very relatable.
it is really everybody.
It's very relatable.
Thanks for that.
Everyone's sitting out there going, "Yes, thank you so much. Now I get it."
Yeah.
Okay, Muffy, let's go back to the club and get. Spicer just broke it down in terms that even I can get. Okay.
Yes,
Pull the driver
America's
around.
Cup. Yeah, it's like you
Well,
get.
no, but listen, when you grow up in Rhode Island and your dad sells boats for a living, you know these things. But I'm just saying.
I understand.
I
I'm
get,
teasing
but
you.
at least it's relatable to me. So I'm sorry if I just interrupted.
No, most people would refer to the wild
club.
card playoffs in the NFL, but no. Stick with the America's Cup analogy, Sean. You're obviously doing much better than I am. One of the reasons why I like the Sean Spicer show, though, is because not only do you give us political analysis from being, in the trenches like you just did, but your media takes are very important. And I know how passionate you are about the makeup of the moderators on these debates. Listen to this question from the moderator. This is the moderator from Univision. Hold on, where did that one go? Oh, crud! Why I had it all ready to go, Larry. All right, I'll have to just relay it to you. This is the moment where she brought up this fake, already debunked canard about the. Oh, here it is. Thank you. I'm so sorry. This is the question about the CRT African American history curriculum in Florida. Here.
Develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it. But many are still hurt. For descendants of slaves, this is personal. What is your message to them?
So first of all, that's a hoax that was perpetrated by Kamala Harris. We are not going to be doing that. Second,
all right, and then he went on to answer about school choice in Florida. It was a strong response for DeSantis, but good God, Sean, what was that question even doing there? What was she doing there?
Okay, so let's take this in order. First of all, thank you for the shameless plug for the Sean Spicer podcast available on iTunes or YouTube. Second, listen, I'm glad you brought this up. Do you realize, so the point of these debates, and one of the reasons that I inserted myself for the first time in history of either party in 2015 was because for too often the media was helping to shape who the party's nominees were. And my point to the RNC at the time was, why is NBC, CBS, CNN dictating the questions and the manner in which we're shaping the primary to choose our nominee? Last night, that was a sanctioned debate. Univision was chosen by the RNC to be an official partner to waste questions that had no relevance. I tweeted this out last night. There isn't a single Republican or primary voter that is making a decision on how to vote on a single question that was asked from that last night. Now, let me just be clear to your audience, because I want to make this caveat, because people misinterpret what I say sometimes, believe it or not. If you were in the general election and wanted to reach out further because you wanted to get a greater share of the Hispanic vote in Florida, Colorado, you name it, where I am 100% on board on that. We need to do more. But this is a primary debate to choose our nominee. This isn't a general election. This is about issues that matter to conservative voters, grassroots voters in primaries and caucuses, and not a single question that was asked last night by the person from Univision will matter one iota to anybody that's in a caucus or primary coming up. Not one. And here's the mistake. That could have been somebody from the Daily Wire, from Salem Radio, from the first TV. And
from
yet
WMAL.
They act to WMAL. Vince Colonnese would have kicked butt. But I think that the point is oh, I'm sorry. Did you think, was there someone else in the
I meant Julie.
Yeah, well, that was, I didn't think I didn't want to.
Why you tried to insult her.
Yeah.
But no, because you were right there, and I'll text her after. But the point was, here's the point. This was a choice by the National Party to sanction that. Yep. And I think that for all the talk about the number of questions that people got and the issues and the ability to talk, we wasted, a third of the debate, and that's being conservative. That was probably the only thing conservative about that was the amount of time that was wasted on that. And I feel like this was a huge disservice. And by the way, we've run out of Foxes. We had Fox News, Fox Business. Who knows? Maybe it's Fox Streaming that's next. And then the RNC is going to start sanctioning NBC and CNN. And this is where it goes off the rails. And I hope I'm wrong on this, because the idea that the whole point is to help inform voters that are voting on the nominee of the Republican Party, not running a general election, not helping the Democrats. And it is a disservice.
I agree. It doesn't serve the voters, the Republicans, who this is supposed to be about, Republican voters. Clearly, an O'Connor and Company / Sean Spicer show debate would be much more effective and informative. Get on that, will you, Sean? We'll jump on board with you.
I know a guy. I know a guy.
Thank you. Sean Spicer Show, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Get it now and subscribe. Thank you, Sean.
I want you to. I hope you guys sail windward through the rest of your day.
Oh.
No one knows what that means.
It sounded nice.
What do you mean? More sailing reference. You got to throw some sailing references. Those are very relatable to people.
For those of you who are going to see Yachtly Crew tonight at the Birchmere, by the way, you'll see Sean and I. What was that?
No, I might be wearing sunglasses and a hat, but I think.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't want the people to recognize you, or you don't want them to know that you're with me?
I don't want them to see. Listen, we don't have enough time to get into this.
Thanks, Sean.
I'll be sitting next to Julie Gunlock. She's right next to me.
It's 7:17. Let's get to Jamie Witt.